Over a year ago, I made a ranking video of all of Taylor Swift's original songs. It was quite the endeavour, but it was also an exploration of this artist who'd only ever been in my periphery. I was trying to think of other artists I could do the same with, and I inevitably came upon Ed Sheeran. I'm very familiar with Ed, being a massive fan of his for most of his career. I fell off of him in 2020, but many of his songs prior to that were stuck in my head. So, I listened to all of his original tracks and features, except for some remixes unless I thought otherwise, and ranked them. This is being made before Play releases, though all the singles for it have been released, so I will be ranking them as well. Here goes nothing. This is truly a reprehensible track. Even beyond being terribly unfunny with its childish comedy, it tries to be an activism track about environmental consciousness, but fails because it only touches on that vaguely and only in the music video. It's just a cameo track, and sure, some of them are funny like Kevin Hart's Kanye or Lil Yachty's HBV, but a lot of just sex jokes are just saying what they are, and everything just feels like random equals funny. Ed also has one line and has like nothing to talk about. He doesn't even make a joke. Ed is the best part, and this is a charity song, but this is just absurd. Elton sucks, the other two people aren't singers so they have their strong accents, and they have an inability to sing so there's so much heavy auto-tune. There's just no reason to listen to this. Again, it's admirable, like Earth, I guess, but it just sucks. Just a young boy trying to be loved, so let me get it to you. I don't wanna know about your new man, 'cause if it was meant to be. New Man is awful, has a terrible sound, it's very bland and generic, and the song is really petty and pathetic. This is the first song in this ranking that is rated much lower just because it's being censored arbitrarily, and here it's pretty bad for that. There's a reason this song is so hated. To the place where the music plays, and then we'll go all night. Two-stepping with a woman I love. All my troubles standing up to my... Two-Step is also an awful song. It sounds like a leftover of Collaboration 6, but without a feature. So it's just Ed sucking at modern rap while also trying to make a dance track. It's bizarre. Another sickly sweet Christmas song that is simultaneously excessively Christmassy, while also somewhat irrelevant, and the production is just a mess. This track has such an artificial sound, it has awful mixing, it's a dance song that just means nothing. It's worthless. We all feel the cold in summer. All of us lonely lovers in the light and the glow. One of the most random tracks I listened to for this video. All the verses are emo rap-esque auto-tune groaning, and then Ed has a pretty decent verse and chorus where he just swears for some reason, but the track doesn't really warrant that from him. It feels like a tonally confused song that even Ed's decent inclusion still feels wrong.
So sexy ass. Let me holler at you. It's one of those kind of nights. Yes. This beat's taking me back to...
This song has the frustrating Eminem where he just yells, and it has some really annoying lyrics. It's pretty emblematic of everything wrong with modern Eminem. As for Ed's contribution, it's mediocre. I do like the refrain with his scratchy voice, but it doesn't come close to redeeming this trash.
Who wants to fit in anyway? 'Cause I don't care when I'm with my baby.
One of the most unbearable instrumentals I've heard. It is just repetitive and boring, Justin is just moaning with autotune, the song says nothing and it isn't even catchy. This song is really bizarre, as it's Ed noticing that he doesn't really love his wife that much, so he makes a song about it, but he doesn't really take accountability or anything for it. He just says sorry and that they should make love. It's bad. This is a song that people think is good because it has a quirky and weird music video. This song just sucks. Like the rest of what Play seems to be, it's just Ed trying to expand to as many genres as he can with as little work as he needs to put into it. Here, it's a bossa nova inspired track with some rapping thrown in because why not? It's also the first song on one of his main albums to have an F word in it since Plus, for some reason.
Dancing in the street in Barcelona.
This whole song has some unintentional harshness to it, from the guitars to Ed's very inconsistent vocal performance to the heavy breathing and the pointless saxophone. It's a bizarre song that isn't nice to listen to. It also feels somewhat pandering, especially the outro. Just constant eye rolls back to front. Truly awful writing in a story about an abortion for an unplanned pregnancy. Ed's chorus is somewhat emotional for the track, but revival-era Eminem is almost irredeemable, and all of that is on this track. Terrible one-liners, terrible story, awful perspective, dramatic production, and screechy vocals.
I'm getting up and getting faded. So I'm on, keeping on, staying up for 1,000. This is the type of shit we used to dream of.
This is a subpar rap song. Boogie does a fine job, but Meek and Ed don't really, and the production is just bland.
Come on now, follow my lead. Come on now, follow my lead. I'm in love with the shape of you. We push and pull.
This has set the standard for Ed for every song that he has made since. It's painfully repetitive and schlocky. The production is grating and painful, the lyrics are pointless, and they're just devoid of substance. It's such a lame song. This is also such a lame song that can only exist from nepotism. The production sucks, a Lone Star's inclusion is bafflingly bland, and Ed does nothing. Ed's voice sounds so bad.
You know I want way more than I already got.
His rapping here is worse than ever, and although 50 Cent does a decent job, you have 2019 Eminem being his usual unlistenable self.
I'm never gonna leave your life, even if the times are miles away.
Ed sounds pretty bad on this track, the production is annoying and dull, and the lyrics, again, are pointless and nothing. There's just nothing for this song.
But you gotta know one thing, all I ever do is win because of that groundwork. I've been setting this mic alight until the fire takes over, and they say I told you.
A really weird Ed feature with him doused in auto-tune, and the rapping verses are pretty subpar and say nothing.
Because I feel the same thing, and I'm here for whenever you need to put it all on me.
Utterly forgettable and generic, from Ed's unconvincing falsetto to Ella Mae's Beyonce rip-off vocals. Just boring and pointless.
Lose my mind, give me a sign. Hit me, baby, one more time.
This is a cover of Britney Spears' song, and it just butchers it. It's no longer a mid-2000s electropop jam, it's a hammy acoustic cover with Ed belting out lyrics that Britney didn't think twice about. The original track is sassy and bratty and loaded with charm, and this is just tepid and boring.
Yeah, you got me stranded. Gone stars and we're dancing out into space, celestials.
A really bizarre track that's supposed to be a Pokemon crossover, but it isn't related in the slightest. It's just an electronic track with generic love lyrics and a fine chorus.
Look at you tonight.
This song exists for one reason: to pander to Indian audiences. It has worked for that, but it really has no redeeming qualities. There is nothing great about the writing, the production has this artificial sheen that Ed's worst tracks have, and it just feels so fake.
I will hold on tighter till the afterglow, and we'll burn so bright till the darkness.
This is a pointless song. I guess it isn't all that bad, but like a lot of the tracks on Equals, it just feels like filler. It doesn't really have a point, and for that, I just can't really love it.
Oh, I will hold on. I don't understand it. How you lighting up the room with your glow? 'Cause girl, you just own it.
This is a completely forgettable dance track. It left my mind the minute it ended, and I haven't thought about it since.
One word, one love, one life.
This, funnily enough, sounds like a Speak Now track, but like a bad one. The lyrics are meh, and I don't really have a problem with them, I guess, but the production is just so orchestral and over the top, and it has this pretentious air to the whole thing.
And dream, hanging out with the Sandman.
This is almost unlistenable. The plinky production sucks, and Ed's infantile writing, intentionally so, is awful. I appreciate the sentiment, but not the song.
All I know is, darling, I was made for loving you.
This is a slow, perfect type track that is just boring and underwhelming.
By your side, oh why, oh why, oh why? When you and I collide, you bring.
Confusing use of the title, the production is messy and weird, and it's just a bizarre track. Ed's voice sounds so artificial here. The production is boring, the story is boring. It's just so boring.
We could turn the moment into music, pour it out, drink it down like hooligans. Noche de novela, let's do this.
This is a mediocre Urbano track, but it's just fine.
Baby, I got the feels, yeah. Say that I'm out my mind, but it's something.
This has alright production, and Ed does fine on the chorus, but the rap features are almost unbearable. Really generic love song with this metaphor of comparing it to a game. It just feels like pandering.
Darling, you look perfect tonight.
This is just a carbon copy of Thinking Out Loud, but even more dull and boring.
Well, I found a woman, leaving till I fly LA next weekend. Peru, nah, girl, I'd rather go find somewhere quiet. You glow.
This is a baffling song. It feels like a Latin pop track that has this really bad Ed feature, but it's his song. Bizarre. This is a pretty mediocre song with Ed as a feature. It's okay, but the air horn halfway through brings it down a bit.
And she keeps telling me over and over. She say, I don't want your money, baby, oh.
Pretty boring and repetitive, and the her feature is kinda underutilized, especially for an album where the features are the whole point.
When I love, down by the Wexford border, she was Nancy Mulligan, I was William Sheeran, she took my name and
This is a terribly written song, as it has no subtlety or subtext to it. It doesn't leave anything to the listener. He literally spells out what perspective he's singing from, who it's about, and what the point is. And, like the other bonus tracks of Divide, it has a pandering sound with this Irish atmosphere that is just corny. This is Ed taking a shot at Argentinian rap, and I can't really say much about it. Paulo Londra does what he does, and I guess it's fine, though I can't really say much about it. Ed is just boring, and Dave doesn't really work on this production.
to give my all, sitting back, looking at every mess that I've made.
Unremarkable story and writing, pretty bad performance from Ed, and really underwhelming production. It's not his worst, but I really don't enjoy listening to it.
Since you've been away, I will remember.
The effects on Ed's voice sound really strange, kinda like most on Divide do. The production sounds outdated and dull, and the writing is pretty awkward.
I'm coming, baby. I'm gunning for you. Pull my trigger, let me blow your mind.
This is an odd rock song. On one hand, it's pretty generic and underwhelming, but on the other, it does something more interesting than other tracks on the album. It kinda feels like a precursor to Silk Sonic, despite no Anderson .Paak and very little Bruno Mars.
From time to time, say no man call, yeah. Baby, I beg you, yeah. Baby, I beg you, yeah.
Like with Barcelona, this song is trying to capture the feeling of a culture and fails completely. Again, it feels pandering and tasteless on a pandering and tasteless album. It's somewhat admirable since it isn't just Ed butchering the sound, with the voice chorus being somewhat nice. This is barely better than Bibi Abi Yeah Yeah, purely because it isn't Ed's track. Though they are widely the same and make me just as uncomfortable with Ed taking Ghanaian influence for his career. A completely okay track. It's a bit jarring going from French to Ed's English, but none of it particularly sounds bad. The production is pretty generic, but it is what it is.
I used to think that nothing could be better than touring the world with my song.
This song features overproduced vocals from Ed. The writing is confused and rambling, the production is too much, and he's still swearing despite promising that he'll never do it since Plus. Multiply I could defend being censored so poorly, since it was the first time doing it and probably was written prior to changing his mind. But there's a 6-year difference between Plus and Divide, and he's still censoring songs like this. It's pretty strange at this point.
Don't worry about it, that's my seed, that's all me. Just know if you cross her, then you cross me, cross me, cross me. If you cross her.
Terrible production with it being so generic, it has an awful chance verse, and Ed doesn't do a very good job either. The PNB sample has always been strange to me as well. A fine Rust track, though Ed's inclusion feels forced as he has no purpose on the track. The track is about a career falling off, but Ed has spent his entire career maintaining his fame. It's just jarring. A very bizarre Ed feature where he has a rapping verse and an outro, but no chorus. Other than that fun fact, it's just a very by the numbers and bland, braggadocious rap song. This is about on the same level as I Ain't Worried by One Republic. There is no reason that this is an Ed song aside from name recognition. It's just more soundtrack slop that works only as its connection to the movie. It's less What Was I Made For and more I'm Just Ken, though nowhere near as good as either of those. All style over substance, but the style sucks completely. It's made to chart, not to be good. This is a bit better than J Balvin's other song with Ed, but maybe just because it's more Ed's sound than Balvin's. It's still nothing great, but it's just fine.
We got questions we should not ask, but how would you feel?
This is a forgettable track that just seems like filler in Divide. It's just pointless.
No photos, so antisocial, but I don't care. Don't give a damn, I'm gonna smoke it.
A fine instrumental that doesn't work with Ed on it, and it features Travis Scott, so that's not doing the song any favors. This song is so boring. It lacks the Taylor verse to add something interesting to it. The production is really grossly grand and over the top. and the lyrics are cheesy and predictable.
Way that you conquer your fear. You know hearts don't break around here. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
This song is just as forgettable as How Would You Feel, serving the same purpose as just padding out the runtime of Divide.
If it hurts and you can't take no more, lay it all on me. No, you don't have to.
The song feels pretty hollow and artificial, and it's just a club banger, and I guess it works for that. I remember not knowing that Ed was on the track, and I was shocked upon learning that. But this was also before I took music seriously and just listened to what the radio played, and I enjoyed it back then, but my mind has changed since. One of Ed's wonkier vocal performances. The writing is pretty forced and weird, and the production is over the top and unpolished. It's definitely an early Ed track. This is such a repetitive song. The chorus is really annoying and the vocal layering doesn't work for me. It's catchy, but that shouldn't be the barometer for what makes a song good.
Everything I do not need in my dark time. Baby, this is all I could be.
A very slow-paced and boring weekend song. It doesn't have any distinct vibe aside from making me sleepy. Ed doesn't work well in this grungy R&B track, and Abel has sounded better on earlier albums.
Someone else, I've got to save myself.
This song fits perfectly in the pandering vibe of the bonus tracks from Divide. But instead of appropriating cultures, here he's appealing to mental health in the most arbitrary and forced manner. Nothing about his work has shown himself as a selfless individual, yet here he's self-flagellating about how he's too caring to a fault.
There is nothing under the tree that I wish.
It's a Christmas song for a Christmas movie. It's fine. It's fun to have Ed rapping alongside other rappers on an almost trap beat. It's goofy and over the top, and it's not amazing or anything, but it's fun if you enjoy Ed rapping. The chorus is pretty grating though. If this was the original Elton John song, it would be number 1 because it's better than anything else on this ranking. Elton's original is so soulful and tactful, it balanced heart in his rock sound. Here is just a singer-songwriter pop cover that doesn't have any sensitivity or personality to it. I felt Elton's connection to Norma Jean. I feel like Ed only ever cared about Marilyn Monroe. This song is completely betrayed by the production. It's a sad song about nostalgia and the people around you dying, and yet it gets really loud and chaotic. Ed comes at the whole song with an insincerity that makes the emotions not hit the way he wishes they would. The ooze at the end of the track just adds to the ineffectiveness of the emotions that it has. The ending, I think, ruins it the most for me. Changing the instrumental also doesn't work because Ed still sings like this is a club banger and not a track about dead friends, so not even the acoustic cover was able to fix the track.
Could be the times I'm living in lately.
This is a pretty boring underground rap track. Ed doesn't do great and Devin is just fine.
Like you won't believe. There's a firefly loose tonight. Better catch it.
Has a nice chorus, but the percussive clinks in the background gets somewhat grating and the rest of the production is too understated and boring.
Welcome to the world. Through all the pain.
A well-made song with a nice subject, but it's just so boring.
Won't stop until the angels sing. Jump in that water, be free. Come south of the border with me. Jump in that water.
This is a Latin pop song, but spearheaded by Ed, who would have worked better only on the chorus, and has a weird Cardi B inclusion. It's just a confused track.
'Cause it's not a homeless life for me. It's just I'm home less than I'd like to be. And it's not a homeless life for me. It's just I'm home less than.
The chorus is pretty funny because he found some fun wordplay and then just repeats it multiple times in a row. The rest is pretty repetitive and predictable.
I'm thinking out loud, maybe we found love.
Strained writing, dull production, repetitive, way too long, doesn't fit the tone of the album. This only exists as a wedding song, and it's way overplayed for that reason.
So let it out.
This has a homemade roughness to it I don't love. The chorus is also pretty forced and not great, and although it definitely has a unique vibe, it's not one I want to come back to. A song that is supposedly about wanting to be a reasonable father and stop drinking that is ruined by a dull and boring EDM sound. It's like Eyes Closed, a lyrically and thematically dense track ruined by an overproduced sound to appeal to pop audiences.
'Cause you're so cool, you're so beautiful.
Such a boring song, where it's just Ed singing the same thing over and over, which is just love schlock.
You're moving on with someone new. 'Cause baby, you look happier, you do.
This is such a phony song that just feels like a worse version of Happiness by Taylor Swift. It touches on the same sense of being happy that your ex is happy without you, while still wishing you were happy with them, but this time it's with this grand orchestra that makes it sound pretentious and cheap. Pretty bleh track overall. It's obviously one of those sappy soundtrack songs. Not very great lyrics and it's incredibly generic. This instrumental could be on dozens of different tracks and they'd fit right in.
Someone else's arms. Well, that's the way to break my.
This is a mostly fine track. Ed's lyrics are basic and dull and completely melodramatic. The production is a typical Skrillex overload, but it's fine. A well-made song, but it's just very generic and basic. Better than basically everything on Divide, and it's very listenable, but it's forgettable and unremarkable.
Baby, the best part of me is you.
Fine first verse, but the rest is so melodramatic and hokey. Unremarkable instrumental, underwhelming feature, it's not great.
She said we are penguins on the ice.
The production is fine and his writing is fine, it's just boring and derivative of so many other tracks.
My mark on the earth, place it, advanced not basic.
All good, all would change.
Life's a battle, I'm only one something but.
The production is pretty grating with the hi-hats being way too loud in the mix, and it certainly doesn't warrant a 40-second instrumental outro. Wiley has a good flow and good lyrics, and Ed's inclusion is minimal but decent.
We ain't hit a rave in a while, so take me back to London.
Yo,
This is a really corny instrumental, but Stormzy is holding his own even if it's just nonsense. Ed is just doing braggadocious rap and it's pretty painful.
Rest in me, the Joker.
A much better version of the original track, as Taylor adds much more depth and makes more thematic sense as not just Ed being the Joker and his love of the Queen, but Taylor the Queen. It's still not great, but it is better than the original.
The way it brings out the blue in your eyes is the Tenerife Sea.
I do not care about this track. It is fine. That is all.
Just let the speakers take you away. Drop the needle on Dusty.
This has a nice sentiment, but it has one of the weakest productions of Subtract. The transition into the last third isn't very good, the writing and the delivery is forced, and even though there are references to water, it doesn't really tie into the rest of the album that well.
Days of my life will always end at midnight in your arms.
This is a completely forgettable and unremarkable track. It acts more as filler than anything.
Okay, I'm in love now. Kiss me like you wanna be loved.
This is a pretty boring love song. It's slow and it takes forever, but it's fine.
Make it rain, make it rain.
A really strange blues song that makes sense knowing it's a cover. Ed does give his all, and I am a sucker for choir backing vocals, but it goes on way too long and Ed shouldn't get too much credit for the work of a different artist.
You become if I'm still growing up.
This is a corny track, but it's kinda cute. Macklemore is doing his rap thing, talking about his children growing up and what it'll teach them, and it's pretty corny, but it's nice. Ed's feature is decent, and the production, aside from the trumpets at the end, is good.
Strange as it seems, she's endless to me.
This is a fine track, just forgettable.
Welcome to the city of sin.
This is a short introduction track to the Game's album. Screw the Game. It's fine though, the production is pretty focused and Ed sings well on the track, but it's just unsubstantial.
Could you make me a cup of tea to open my eyes in the right way? And I know you love Shrek because we've watched it 12 times.
This has a cute story, but it's just so boring. It's cheesy and nice, but it's just slow paced and the instrumental is way too stripped back.
Dodging homework, dodging classes, to set off fire alarms.
This is a pretty generic and inoffensive young love track. There's not much to talk about.
When they say your name, they're lifting you. So let them say what they want.
This is a well-produced track, and Ed's chorus is pretty good, but Pharrell's verses are bland and forgettable.
See fire.
This was a tie-in with The Hobbit, and you can tell. It doesn't really match the rest of Multiply, so it's odd that it's released as a bonus track in the deluxe. But overall, the song is just kinda strange.
It's a new day, and this is England. Next to the
This is a more sympathetic version of The City, and while I like the delivery of the verses, I think the choruses are pretty annoying. The production also sounds too much like The National and doesn't fit the rest of the song.
She's like cold coffee in the morning. I'm drunk off.
This has a nice chorus, but the rest of it is just kind of forgettable.
I'll just run away and be on my own.
The drums are way too aggressive, and the story is pretty generic and cliche. The background vocal chirps are also pretty overbearing.
That's why you and I ended over you and I said.
This has a basic instrumental, strained rapping vocals, uninteresting story that is just repetitive and questionable. It's weirdly paced and it's predictable. I do give it some leeway though, as being a pretty early Ed song.
Think of me up there. Can I say goodbye to you?
A fine track. The rapping is alright if questionable, and the introduction is interesting. Just kind of forgettable.
I saw a young G sitting on the wall, had a gun in his bag on the way from school.
As an Ed feature, it's not bad. He rounds out the harshness of the track, but doesn't kill the vibe that it's set up. Otherwise, it's a standard Brit hip-hop track.
You are the only one and
This is underwhelming and unremarkable. It's kind of a filler track on Multiply.
So let's free fall and see where we land.
This is a pretty simple track like the rest of 5, but the production is interesting even if the rest is kinda boring.
Would it hurt your reputation if I put it on wax? I take it back now. Come on and take it back, love.
This feels like the You Need Me, I Don't Need You of Multiply, but the instrumental is not interesting, the lyrics are a lot worse, and his attitude on this track seems to have ended here as future records don't really have this angst he boasts about.
Saw the trend, the rushing deep into love. English girl in an American town, no elevator to the 5th floor.
This kind of acts like a reversal of London Boy by Taylor Swift. It doesn't lean as hard into stereotypes and cliches, but it's still generic and boring. This is an overplayed dance pop track I've never really liked. It's not that bad, but it's just very aged and doesn't really give me a reason to come back to it.
Out alive, and I can't wait to make a million more first times.
This is a tender track on Equals, but it's just boring. The production is nothing to talk about, the writing is nice but simple, and the song doesn't really stand on its own.
I have a cheat. Tears won't dry. I'll wipe my shirt sleeve under your eye.
This has stretched thin metaphors of captains, ships, water, and other things. It sounds like a plus left over and it's just pretty boring.
Under your eye with a song that I wrote, saying love could change the world in a moment. But what do I know?
This is one of Divide's best songs, and the themes are good, but the production is bland and Ed sounds completely disinterested on it.
Life is changing tide.
This is actually a decent opener to Equals, and it touches on the themes of the album, but man, the instrumental is all over the place. It's just Ed and a guitar, which is how I prefer my Ed. The chorus is pretty long and arduous, and the verses are almost him just talk singing, which makes the song pretty forgettable. The guitar can also be somewhat tacky, and there is an overall sense of self-importance. It's a fine track.
Silence ain't golden, you know that it's only blue.
This song pushes into the high-pitched vocal range that Ed tried to do on the most recent albums of his, but it doesn't really break from that high pitch, which I think does a disservice to the track as it just feels kind of stagnant. It's a song about colour, and it's just pretty forgettable and unremarkable. I dislike this song as part of Taylor's discography because it felt like an Ed track ripped from Multiply. That being said, it's fine. Ed and Taylor's voices work well together and the writing isn't awful, it just feels somewhat outdated. I really like the production, but the actual lyrics are pretty underwhelming. This has a better grasp on the dance production that the rest of Equals tries to accomplish, and it's a more competent track, though it's still not amazing or anything.
When I need to get home, you're my guiding light. You're my...
This is a hearty, soulful country song that Ed is the weakest part on. The stripped-back production and Vance's vocals are good, though it's still not a stellar track. It does run pretty long though. A fine track that has a nice chorus, but the rapping is a bit much.
My heart still beats for my home and my English road.
This feels like a precursor to Divide. Ed's vocal production sounds pretty similar to something like Dive, and the fluffy, jovial tone reminds me of a more acoustic Castle on the Hill. I don't like the harmonica solo, but it is a fine folksy Ed track.
How beautiful we blend, crashing in head and heels.
This is an underproduced track that is still kind of fine. It's a nice way to play out Autumn Variations and a light conclusion to a pretty downer album.
Crashing in head
A fine grime song, though it doesn't really stand out.
darling, we could fall in love 'neath the hills of Aberfeldy.
I like the track as a conclusion to Ed's music overall, being a thematic tie-in to Parting Glass from Plus, and being a song that returns to Ed's roots. It's not a great track and it does feel weird outside of the album, but it's fine.
I pray, if I go, mama, don't cry. I was on the roadside.
I can't tell if this is too on the nose and pretentious, but it feels like a heartfelt track about death. The game's verses are great, and Ed's chorus, although somewhat wonky delivery-wise, is a good change of pace and adds to the tone of the track.
See the city light from where I stand on the top floor, and I'm not sure if I'm dead.
This is a 2-minute track that Ed features on, where he does his hyper-British twang, but it kinda works. It's very atmospheric and textural, definitely more conceptual than Ed is used to. It's not complex, and it is predictable, but it is an interesting song.
She won't love me. Maybe we'll just paint the night colorblind.
This feels extremely pandering. As I said in my Taylor review, and with Blue earlier, I don't like when songs are based off of colours because it's just so overplayed. This is basically the perfect thinking out loud love and slow motion of Subtract, and it's one of the better one of those, mostly because the production is decent, and the song lines are fine.
I'll stop eating food and I'll squeeze into a dress so I can be like you. And then I'll see your
A cute track with Ed missing his partner, and so he tries to be like her to remind himself of her. The production is basic acoustic guitar, but it works here.
This is my only fear that we become beautiful people. Top designer clothes.
This is an inoffensive pop track with Ed and Khalid, but it is pretty repetitive and surface level, and the claps in the instrumental are annoying.
But this is no strings, you are who I love.
This is an alright song on Subtract, but it feels less impactful than the others. It's the light at the end of the tunnel, being him and his wife as hopeful and loving each other. It's nice, but pretty throwaway.
They don't want to celebrate. Nobody cares, this is the day I was born. Always the month.
I was uncharitable to this when I first heard it, but not for no reason. I think the vibe being reminiscent of an Elton John song is welcome, especially as it's very different to the rest of Autumn Variations, and the story of all your friends being too busy working on themselves to come to your party is interesting. But Ed approaches it in a juvenile way that is annoying, with the chorus and the la 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 part just being so grating.
I'm gonna pick up the pieces and build a Lego house.
This is a very basic love song with some overwhelming metaphors, but it is iconic for a reason. A pretty listenable rap track with a unique Ed chorus with this slight distortion that adds texture, and it isn't a laborious 4.5 minutes.
Down, I'll never let you down. You're strumming on my heartstrings like you were the grade 8, but I've never felt this way. I'll pick your feet.
The instrumental is kinda interesting, but it doesn't really work with Ed's voice. It's a boring track about nothing, even if the grade 8 concept is cute, if a bit too obscure. It's not about school, but about instruments. It's somewhat interesting, but I don't know.
This is the start.
This song isn't as slow-paced as Wake Me Up, but it's just as bare bones and unsubstantial. It's a nice track with not a lot to it.
But now until then, I'm holding out for the spring. We can't let winter.
This feels like a mix of Subtract and Plus, though it's a song I feel like would work better if sung by Taylor. Destiny's acoustic production and the melodic singing is fine with Ed, but I just think she'd work better.
Like you do, but I do it for the love. Waiting on the gold rush, keep it on the edge, smoking on a roll up.
This song is cute, but a little underwhelming.
And remember, out for you, float down like autumn leaves and hush.
This is a nice song, but like a lot of Plus, it doesn't really leave me with much, even if I can acknowledge that they're well-made songs.
Blossoming among the wildflowers, flowers.
A pretty mediocre song. It's a simple pop track and it's nice, it's just forgettable.
Should I, maybe I'll get drunk again.
This has a somewhat grating instrumental and annoying lyrics, but Ed's voice is nice. It's nothing remarkable, it's just a song about getting drunk to forget about love. It's fine.
The time that it takes to get on a plane or make a mistake, so say it again. Oh, Nina, you should go, Nina.
This is a decent love song that has an interesting vibe, but it's forgettable.
The darkness creeps in. I feel my nightmares watching me.
This song is pretty fine. I really like the production, but I think it's a bit bloated with the multiple features.
And baby, if you wanted me, then you should have just said she's singing. Don't fuck with my love. That heart is.
This is a pretty great song about infidelity with a good tone and perspective, but it's also neutered by making the album clean. The censorship is really odd, and it's pretty annoying how the only way you can hear the song as intended is through a Rick Ross remix.
You say to me, can you pull the curtains? Let me see the sunshine.
This is a sensitive and personal track about helping a friend struggling with self-harm that doesn't really work due to the pop-rock production that has resulted in it being played in retail stores alongside songs like Thinking Out Loud and Shape of You.
It's been so long, I've been the punchline. I stand.
Punchline is a pretty great outro, but the rest of the song doesn't really stand out. It has some interesting parts about being vulnerable, but that's about it. I can't really say how well Ed works on the track. Independently, both he and Lupe Fiasco do a good job, and I like the production, and the contrast between Lupe's rapping and Ed's soft chorus is nice. I do like the chorus here, but I don't really know how well the two different sounds connect. This sounds like a dozen other Ed songs. The chorus is nice, but like the other Multiply bonus tracks, it just sort of disappears into the background. The writing is nice and the production is decent, even if the percussion is a bit of an odd addition. This is a way too bubbly track about depression, which I guess is the point, but it isn't that good. The production and the writing could work well together, but Ed's delivery stops it from being an effective song. Really generic story where it makes a pretty boring and normal life grand and exaggerative. It's obnoxious, but it's listenable. The production is maximalist, but makes it more interesting to listen to. And Ed is vocally giving his all. Pretty decent, even if P Money has a wonky performance and the chorus is a bit too long.
I've just been wasting time. When will I be alright?
This is another falsetto track that I also think would work a lot better with Taylor instead of Ed, or maybe in a deeper voice. It has a nice melody and themes for it, but the sound is just underwhelming.
Burn in my bloodstream. So tell me when it kicks in.
A very different vibe from the original track with positives and negatives. The drums particularly create a flustered and claustrophobic soundscape that feels like a high, compared to the original track feeling like a dejected withdrawal. I do appreciate that it is an alternative version of the song, as opposed to other remixes which take out chunks to be more radio friendly. It serves its own purpose from the original, being much more energetic but almost watering down the message of the original.
No, I don't wanna hate you. Just wish you'd never gone for the man.
This goes on too long, the instrumental is too bland and uninteresting, and the story is decent, though squandered through the censorship. I'm partial to Ed's rapping and I think he does a fine job here, but it's still not anything remarkable.
I took the supermarket flowers from the windowsill.
A middling track since there's more emotion than anything else on Divide. It has better production than the rest of the album, and it's probably a stronger track, but also one that felt more and more phony the more I've listened to it.
Memories of a life that's been loved. My thoughts are only you.
I think the instrumental is pretty interesting, Ed's chorus is really smooth, and Wiley's verses are pretty great. I don't think all of it works together that well, with Ed's long and slow chorus not matching the energetic and rough verses, but it works fine enough. Somehow, a Taylor song I didn't even like is still better than the majority of Ed's tracks. I think Future is the weakest part, but that's just my personal taste. The production is dazzling and energetic, Ed is doing something different on the track, the chorus is memorable and catchy, and it's a fun time.
It's alright to cry, even my dad does sometimes.
This is a sad song about death that is totally not complemented by the minimalist production that ends with this strange electric guitar solo. I like the sentiment, but it falls flat.
Cause I'm here alone, just dancing with my eyes closed.
One of Ed's more effective pop chart tracks. Sonically, it's actually really nice, with the build of acoustic guitar to typical pop production, but more nuanced than that. And even though it's still a stylish song made to do numbers, it contains substance, not being able to socialize after tragedy, and when you do, you can only think of who you lost. It's pretty cool, but a bit overplayed.
Am I breathing into my detriment? I'll keep bleeding and I'll be stoned.
A pretty great track that does not match the production. Unlike other songs of his that are tonally dissonant, this is one that is much more cinematic than it should be. It needs like an EDM instrumental, not the slow-paced acoustic production.
Keep telling myself that it's them. Sycamore bringing shade from eating sun.
I've seen people say this song is just overly sweet and pretentious, but I disagree. The sweetness only really comes from the chorus, which is Ed telling himself and his wife that everything will be alright, while the pre-chorus is the world breaking him down, with his child getting sick and then his wife's cancer diagnosis. It's only sweet because he's trying to console his ill family. As it is, I mostly like it, though the chorus is somewhat repetitive. This is probably the least polished bonus track on Subtract, as Ed's vocals sound strained and artificial, and the writing is a bit disconnected and rambling. It's a fine track, but a bit underdeveloped.
I feel the chemicals burn in my bloodstream. So tell me when it kicks in.
This is a song I flip-flopped on. I used to really like it, then on re-listen hated it, but on re-listen, I see its value. It's a bit repetitive and doesn't really go very far, but the folksy old production is intriguing, the ending is emotive, and overall, it is a decent track.
I'll be feeling this tomorrow. I'm blazing on the street. What I do isn't up to you. If the city never sleeps, then that makes two.
The production is fine, aside from the beatboxing, and the story is decent about Ed going into the city and experiencing it for the first time, if a bit rudimentary. His voice also isn't terrific on the track. This has really interesting production. Jamie's feature, although not terrific, does stand out, and I like the message of the song, that they make music not for the radio, and how in order to chart they have to get someone else already famous on the track. It's funny that he says this on number 5 Collaborations, an album with exclusively underground grime and British rap artists, when 8 years later, on number 6 Collaborations, he makes it with exclusively the biggest names in pop, R&B, and hip-hop. It's almost prophetic in that way.
To be in love, this is magical.
This is a nice, soft song to start Autumn Variations, with a very different sound than Subtract, while maintaining that melancholia. I do think it drags ever so slightly though, and it isn't very substantive.
This is for you and run like you run from the law.
In my Taylor ranking, I said how I enjoyed this song. Ed and Taylor work well together, and this being a vault track allows the two artists to sound more contemporary. This lacks the dated feeling of everything has changed, and you can almost feel each artist maturing in their music abilities through how different the two tracks are. It feels like a good feature as he doesn't outshine Taylor, but he still holds his own and adds to the track.
But then I made you cry when I left that little bird with its broken leg to die.
This is a cool love song where this bird is the symbol of their dying love, but also doesn't really go far enough in any way to make that a remarkable metaphor.
Stuck on the borderline. Which way will I?
The production and verses here are really great, with great writing and delivery, but the chorus gets pretty grating even if it's a new direction for Ed. I can't help but imagine Taylor doing the chorus and thinking it would be a lot more elegant that way.
But I'm stuck on the page.
This has a measured approach to the production with some interesting metaphors and delivery from Ed. It's a more memorable track off the album, though it's more of a fun time to listen to as opposed to reminisce about. It's a track that doesn't leave you with much afterward.
Now I feel like the fool. You're just a small bump unborn in 4 months.
I thought of Ronin by Taylor when I was re-listening to this track, and I wondered why it didn't hit as hard as that did. Then I realised that the emotion only comes from subsequent listens. The sad part, that this child miscarried, only comes in the last 10 seconds of the track, so the overwhelming majority of it is just talking about an unborn baby. Yeah, it's a conceptually sad song, but it isn't really approached with the weight that is necessary. It's sad because it's a sad topic, not because it's a sad song. The pop production also reduces its impact. It's still a good song, but it's undercut by lacking tenderness.
Oh, I'm a mess right now. Inside out.
This has way more energy to it than any of Plus does. It's instrumentally more complex, and it grows as the song progresses like Give Me Love. It's a pretty good way to start off Multiply.
I wish that heaven had visiting hours, so I could just.
One of the better songs on Equals, and it's almost like a more engaging Supermarket Flowers, since the metaphor here is more interesting and the emotion feels more genuine. Again, this has choir backing vocals which really add to the emotion of the track.
What would you do? I'll take that if you're giving out love from a plastic bag. My friend died, it's been years still grieving.
One of the stronger tracks in Autumn Variations, as it's a seemingly upbeat pop song that's about drinking and taking drugs to numb oneself and avoid taking responsibility over life.
Why the fuck am I still here breathing?
It's well written and it's well delivered.
I would pray, but I don't believe it. Give me the chance to be free. Something sadly seems to sort of suffocate me. Cause you need me, man, I don't need you. You need me, man.
This is a weird track in Ed's catalogue. I doubt that many normal fans like the song, let alone know of it. It's a rap song, the inferior version because it's missing like most of the verses, but also the lyrics are just bizarre. Like he makes innuendos and certain references, he swears throughout, and makes pretty anti-pop statements. However, in hindsight, it's ironic seeing him say he won't be defined by genre, while current Ed is known for being the model to follow for basic and generally appealing but uninteresting pop. Him, along with Taylor, defined pop for the 2010s, but Ed is still stuck with appealing to pop sensibilities, while Taylor has shown herself to be comfortable with folk, alt, EDM, dream pop, and other genres, while Ed really only stuck to rap and pop, with the former all but abandoned beyond Multiply. Despite a somewhat wonky pre-chorus, I think it has a powerful message of how strong his wife is, and I think it's also important to the album to explain where his headspace was. His wife's cancer diagnosis, his court case, everything happening in such a short amount of time, because I've seen people say that Subtract is overdramatic and whiny, mainly because they don't understand where any of that comes from. And this song pretty much explains that, which sucks that it's a bonus track that isn't necessary for the entire album to be listened to.
And leave me like sunburn.
This is a really well-written and soft song that is great, but has awful production. A lot of Plus has this minimalist or garage rap approach to the instrumentals that makes it very dull and unexceptional. Very obviously so here. This is an emphatic and grand conclusion to Plus that is cool and good, and while Parting Glass is also cool, it's just a bit strange to be on the album. It feels like a CD bonus track that he decided should be on the actual album. Decent song, not a masterpiece though.
To be stars, but it burns like hell. To be vaguer.
A more underrated track in the album, but I think it tells an effective story of trying to ignore all the signs that things are bad by shutting out the world and living in the moment. I like how the production feels intentional, pulling back when narratively necessary and coming back in when it isn't.
We'll believe that she'll get better. Listen, little lady.
This is a genuinely great twist on the A-Team, using the instrumental and chorus to tell a different story of a 13-year-old getting pimped by her uncle and murdered for going to the cops. McKill Payne raps with such matter-of-factness that makes it even more emphatic and hopeless. I do dock some points because it does just feel like a remix and owes a lot of its effectiveness to the original A-Team, but it's still great.
We keep this love in a photograph.
This is a classic love song that has a pretty interesting vocal performance throughout. It has good production and a good story, even if the theme of being together with a photo can be a bit confusing.
Scream it's over love. Come and kiss me salt water.
This is a loud track, and I really like the production and writing. It's a lot darker than Ed's other tracks, and although it's not quite great at capturing that tone, it's still pretty good. This is a tender song from Ed about his grandfather. It's written well and sounds pretty good, aside from him saying shut weirdly. This is a really effective track. It's got pretty hopeful lyrics in this pretty sad album, with Ed's vocals being more diverse while also being pretty strong. He goes high-pitched here that isn't as shrill as Borderline, and the layered production alongside his strong vocals makes the track pretty great.
All we ever do is argue. Every time that I realize maybe I'll never find my smile, but who's to blame? Well, that's on me. Well, that's on me. Well, that's on me.
This track has a backbone that Ed hasn't really had since his Plus era, with the song's specific sound, from the beatboxing-esque production, the quicker delivery, and the more personal and serious lyrics. He's trying to say something here, which he doesn't usually.
Easy come, hard go, then life goes on.
Again, this is another really tender song that is relatable and applicable to a lot of situations. but also very personal to Ed. The production and the vocals are great, and the whole track is emphatic and impactful.
They say she's in the class 18, stuck in her daydream.
This is a phenomenal song. The instrumental is stripped back and textured, the song is emotive and poetic, and it's one of his most profound tracks. Even his voice comes off as charming rather than grating. It's no wonder why this song sparked his career.
Maybe I won't, but the waves won't break my boat.
Ed delivers the song with such a passion and emphasis to it. The production is crisp and deliberate, the song is paced exceptionally well, and this air of hopelessness is layered across the track. It asserts the themes and tone of the album, as well as the recurring motif of water.
It's been a long year, and we're not even halfway there. Is this the ending of our youth when pain starts taking over?
This is one of the most instrumentally powerful tracks in Ed's catalogue. It's also paired with such vulnerable lyrics about Ed being unable to match people's expectations, to loss of his childhood, to grief. It's undoubtedly one of his best tracks.
I guess it's so part of life, but I can't help but feel like lately I've been crying so much my lungs ache. Teardrops all over my shirt like blood stains, and I know to heal a heart it must break, but I'm done praying. They gave me a shovel at your burial, and watching you get lowered is something I can't forget at all, and people find and stop me in the street and say it's terrible.
This is a really powerful rap track that is so blunt and direct. It's Ed truly just expressing his emotions over Jamal's death, and it feels so personal and real. I love that it goes back to his rapping origins, and he really puts his all into it. It's hard to listen to this and think that Ed doesn't care about his craft, because he puts everything into this. I think this is probably his best track. And that's it. That's all of Ed Sheeran's songs. This feels a lot less definitive than my Taylor ranking. I had a lot more to say about the top 50 songs, let alone the top 10 songs. But here, even songs in the top 10, I don't ever really listen to. His best song is a single most people probably haven't even heard of, about a friend that died that Subtract is about. I rank a lot of Subtract higher because I do like that album, but even then, it still has some tracks that I really don't like. He's a really weird artist where he's very popular and beloved, but none of his songs really stand out. With what has come out from Autumn Variations and now from Play, it's just very underwhelming. It kind of feels like he caught lightning in a bottle for Subtract that I don't think he's ever going to go back to. It kind of reminds me of Folklore and Evermore for Taylor, where she tried so much to be something more than a pop artist. She tried to be emotional, she tried to be creative, that worked, and then they're just going back to their old ways of pop. Pop music is supposed to make you feel excited and happy. It's supposed to be easy and consumable, but I'm just finished recording this video and I just feel nothing. This ranking has been in the works basically since that last video, and it's just nothing. I just don't really care.